Yeah. We getting funky. We getting ready for this weekend right here, right now. This is no other than Black Power Media. And we came to give you that boom bap breakfast right here on the Remix Morning Show. Now, y'all ready? Let me introduce you to your host. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and your host with the most from the East Coast, DMV area, where it could be scary or whatever. Let me give it to you right here. No other than Dr. Jerry Ball. And here she come, ready to flex, straight from the BX. Coco. Yeah.
What's up, good people? What's up, Coco?
Good morning, free the land. Good morning. How's everyone?
Free the land, free them all.
Free the land,
That's
free them all.
right. Free the land and free them all.
It's not a contradiction. We want both and all.
Exactly. This is
No
this is
doubt.
what I'm here for.
Hey, I was just helping to read the rest of your title. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
appreciate
Good,
that.
y'all. Hey,
What's
hey.
up, good people? What's up, remixers? Welcome, everybody. Make sure you put this in your socials, like, share, subscribe. Let everybody know they can get some of this good boom bap breakfast too.
Yes. Hey,
What's
I missed
happening?
y'all. I missed y'all yesterday. You know?
We missed you.
Listen, man.
Mr. Great.
We know you don't have nothing to do. We know you like it's just a power move. Ear Doctor be fronting. He just like, I'm just gonna lay back one of these days, let these know what happens when I'm not here. Watch this. I know you was back in the cut like this.
Oh
yesterday.
man, in the chat room, like nah. You know, I be having some DJ gigs sometimes. You know, with these graduations and this, that, and the third. So it's that time of the year. But I'm gonna make sure I come back and be here, like I am. Bam, we here.
Right on. We
All right.
appreciate it. So you was hooking somebody up yesterday. It was
Yeah. Little I do I work with this group called the Holistic Health. What is it? Holistic Health Institute. Oh, but yo, check this out, right? Before I even go there. The other day I went to a little art exhibit, right? It was an art exhibit. And this like younger black dude, I say he's around older 20s. I'm walking through there, you know, sipping my drink, chilling, looking around. You know, it's a nice sprinkle of different races up in there. So he stops me and he says, "Yo," he's like, "Can you take a picture of me?" I was like, "Nah." I was like, I could see if you was with somebody else, but you just want me to take a picture of you. So, you know, I just hit it with it, nah. And then I started walking. He was like, "Yo, F you." So, you know, I turned around and walked back to him. And I was like, "What you say?" He's like, "Man," he's like, "I just asked you for," I was like, yo, you don't even know me. You don't know my condition. You don't know what it is. And because I said no to you, that you say F you, I had to follow this dude, son. I had to follow him. And then afterwards, he was like, "I'm sorry, man. I apologize. I just didn't." I was like, "Yeah, you don't know what condition I am." I was like, "Man, I can't even be out in these streets no more. People still trying to fight."
So
But,
why did he want a picture? What did he want a picture for?
Of himself. It's this. I don't want to do
okay.
the generational war thing, but I'm like, dude, you want me to? You know who I am? You want me to just stop and take a picture of you? Get out of here. If it was you and somebody else, maybe I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I got
Or
you."
if he had been asking if he could take a picture with you,
Something like
he didn't
come
have
on.
Yeah, it's
So
it's,
would you do that? Like, I mean, somebody. I mean, I guess if you
it honestly depends on a whole bunch of different factors.
I mean, people do that all the time, right? Like ask other people to take pictures. That happens all the time.
Of them by themselves. That's what a selfie is called.
Yeah, I wouldn't have not done it. If I'm almost not even comfortable with how I am anymore. Like in the sense that I've become overly security cautionary and conscious and all that, whatever. So if I don't know you and somebody just walked up to me, it was like, "Could you take a picture of me?" I probably would have been like, Coco left. I'd been like,
He was like, "Well, we got somebody we could bring in for Coco's replacement. No other than come out, okay, Franklin.
Somebody who could teach us how, social etiquette and how to behave in the streets.
Definitely. I know you would have did it.
Always well behaved.
Come out. Did you hear what I just did?
No, what'd you say?
I was talking about how some kid asked me to take a picture of him just by himself, and I said no, and he said "F you," and I stepped to him and told him, "Yo, what's your problem?" And he apologized and stuff. Would you have taken that picture?
Depends on the mood.
There we go. See,
It all depends on the mood.
depends on the mood.
Yeah.
I was too fly that night. You know, I was like, yo, bro, you don't even know me like that, and you just come and ask me to take a picture of you by yourself. Get
The
out.
bigger question for me is if in that moment he does as you said and he says "F you,"
Yeah.
what would the reaction to that have been? Because that was the second half of the story.
Oh
come out.
yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
you walked him down and demanded some sort of, like, and again, for me, it would have depended on a whole bunch of factors as to, but you never know. I don't know. So, that's the part. And in this day and time, to the point I was getting at with my overly cautiousness or security consciousness, I probably would have let that go. At this day and time, I probably would have let that go. If he just said "F you" and kept on walking, or was walking in a non-threatening way,
Yeah.
I probably would have just been like, "Word," and then just went about my business and taken a lap or stepped outside for a second and calmed down or whatever. Like I doubt I would have. I doubt today I would have walked him down like that and been like, "You don't know me, son. You don't know my condition."
But 25 years
he
ago?
took it too far.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, at 25 years ago, it could have. I don't know. I mean, "F you" it could have been all kinds of reactions.
Somniac, thank you for the $40. Just
Yes,
got your
thank you.
job. Congratulations. Nonprofit working to reduce
Much
racial
appreciated.
wealth gap. Joined as a fight for tangible and ethical solutions, but are funded by people who dabble in buying power myths. Any advice for
Run.
navigating this space?
Run.
Run.
What is the movie? What's that movie? Oh, I know the movie. You all will know it. But the dude says he's introducing to his replacement, and he says, "I'm gonna tell you what I was told on my first day." He said, "Sit down at the desk on your first day and write 2 letters. One letter is like your welcome speech, and your next letter is your outro, your goodbye speech, your retire, your my flea speech, my I'm going to spend more time with my family speech." I don't, keep your head down. You know what I mean? Keep your head down.
It's your best advice, right?
Keep your head on the swivel, like they used to tell us on the flight deck. Keep your head on the swivel, brother.
Run and keep your head down. Crash into a wall while you
Well,
run.
like Biggie said, keep low and keep firing.
Have another job planned out. Have another job planned out.
That's your escape route. That's what it is.
Mhm.
That's what it is. No, identify
Get
all
that
the
money
exits.
so you can. Exactly. Get that money while you can, and then identify the things that you're not going to compromise on, and develop your exit strategy. But always have a backup.
Definitely. Yeah.
Don't just quit.
And
Don't
what
do
is it
I
from
do.
that job that you're going to take with you after they let you go?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got to go back and get those
Exactly. Like
get those
if you need-
Kamal stories. Kamal was like, I'm walking. Kamal was the French leaving Algeria. I'm taking every.
I'm walking away with this.
There's a watch
every
said,
light
I'm leaving with
bulb,
something.
every
Paper
state
clips
line.
falling out my pocket. Staples stuffed in my socks.
All of that.
All
You know
that.
what I'm saying?
All that.
Yeah. Like, don't just quit like Coco said. Don't get fired like Jared did, and make sure you have all your items selected like Kamal said. There you go. You're welcome.
That's the
Full
round of
coverage advice
right
here on
there.
the remix.
So I was DJing an event yesterday for like people that's getting grant money to work with kids. And it was pretty
Yikes.
I'm
I
leaving
don't
with
know what
something.
that means.
No,
That's an interesting phrasing. Where are people who are getting grant money to work with kids?
that was Denzel saying I'm leaving with something. I was working with them, and we working on talking about how you use hip hop as a tool to teach with kids. For a lot of these people that was trying to get this grant money, while I was white, So they don't really know how to deal with the kids and relate to them and stuff like that. So we was trying to let them know how you have to approach kids using hip hop, understanding their story, giving them knowledge of self. Cause they was like, yo, some of y'all ain't gonna be comfortable, so y'all might have to walk out the room. So we started talking about enslavement, all types of stuff. It was real dope. Got to play some music that had conscious content in it. So yeah, that was a beautiful day. I enjoyed
Speaking of music with
That's what's up.
content, shout out to Sony for shutting down the remix.
Lee,
Appreciate
one day,
Sony,
boy.
you know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, Sony. Sony, you know, it just lets you know even our most decolonized music is colonized.
Exactly.
Damn.
Sony
Like,
was
we
like,
got the copyright to that.
you thought you was gonna open up the show with Dead Prez because Ear Doctor's on a day off? Watch this, motherfucker.
It's like it ain't bigger than hip hop.
Nah,
We own hip hop.
We're bigger than hip hop, motherfucker.
Damn,
Yeah, they snatched the whole joint. We trimmed it out, and the episode's back up. If anybody wants to go revisit a great show yesterday, you know. But
y'all did good. Y'all did good yesterday. I was proud. I was proud of y'all.
Sony was like, "You get, we not even. It was none of that. We just gonna demonetize it and let you leave it up there. None of that, you know, warning. None of that. It was like block worldwide,
You're taking your whole shit.
Yeah.
And that's why we need y'all to continue to show the love and come through. And this is the remix.
I don't think they've shown enough love lately.
Uh-oh.
We haven't had like at least like 2-3 bills just ran. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I see this $40 as a start in the first 13 minutes, but damn. I mean, we need to be more appreciative, don't we? It's like June 1st. I got your checks yesterday. People need to be dropping some dollars. Where's Easy Lying? Where's Easy Lying?
It's rent, son. We gotta hit him up around the 15th.
Where's Easy Lying at? I understand.
I know, right?
By now he should have dropped at least $100. You know what I'm saying?
Don't he already though?
He never gives us money.
Wow.
And this is how it is right here.
Supporters out there.
Or no other than the Remix Morning Show. We be back, y'all. Let's go. Yeah. What's up, y'all? What's up, world? Everybody out there representing right now. This is the Remix Morning Show. Please make sure y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button if you haven't already. Go to patreon.com. We got some new footage there you can go check out. Drop some change in the bucket, become a member. All that stuff right here. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's on again right here Tuesday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. All right, I said my spill. Now, let's get to it. Right here, right now. It's 50 years of hip hop, y'all. And as I like to do an artist spotlight and talk about certain artists. So today I was like, let me talk about one artist that comes out of my area, no other than Jersey. Let's talk about Lords of the Underground. Can we do that? All right, let's do that. Chief Rocker, yes, that is what they are known as. But you have the Lords of the Underground coming straight out of Newark, New Jersey. This hip-hop trio. You had no other than Do It All. You had Mr. Funky and DJ Lord Jazz. Now, both of Mr. Funky and Do It All's from Jersey. DJ Lord Jazz came straight out of Cleveland. But they all met at Shaw University in North Carolina. And they wound up meeting up with producer Marley Marl and K-Def. And that's where it started. Actually, Redman was their DJ when they first started. And then he moved over and moved up. You know what I'm saying? But the group came out with their first album, Here Come the Lords, March 9th, 1993. Oh, man, what a year. Now, this album was listed as 50 of the best rap albums in 1993. It hit the Billboard at 66, you know what I'm saying? But this Chief Rocker song right here, oh, man, when it came on in the club, it was a rap. So they did that for a while, did another album called Keepers of the Funk, and it didn't really blow up like that because you had so much hip-hop coming out at this time, especially in 93 era. It was a lot. And then they also did a soundtrack for the New Jersey Drive movie. It was a movie about carjacking, and they made a song about carjacking. They got some flack from it. Now, one thing y'all might not know is they had a little beef with Das Effects by saying that Das Effects stole their style. So that was the little Jersey beef, they had going on. But they can also be known for having 5 albums. So go check them out if you haven't. No other than Lords of the Underground. They got Funky Child, Here Come the Lords, and some other joints. So that's what it is right here on the Remix Morning Show as we get back to the crew. Now we do. Yeah.
There you go. Lords of Underground was funky, but Das Effect did not steal the sound. I don't remember.
And I thought Das Effects was out first. So,
but in the neighborhoods when you coming up, like you might been out first, but as in being around in the hood, rhyming and stuff like that, because they was like, Backstreet. Who was the song? The Lord #1, the Lord Chief Rocker #1. That song, yeah, that was the song.
#1.
But damn, I'm thinking they pretty much was like, yo, they stole your whole style in the video. They did everything that y'all doing. I was like, oh, really? So that's what it is.
I loved when they dropped. I loved the Children of Low Tug, and that bass line in Funky Child is one of the best in hip hop history. But oh man, that was crazy. But I don't know how the whole Das Effects thing doesn't compute for me.
Yeah, you had to be around in the neighborhood to see, because you got some,
I guess
some people coming in the cipher like, oh, word, I like that style. Let me rock it. But
give me both of them. I'm good with all of them.
Word. And that is your artist spotlight. I will catch y'all next break. Peace.
All right, we ready to slap a map? Get to some news, some stories. Let's go ahead and slap the map here in the Remix Morning Show. Yes. Welcome everybody to the Remix Morning Show. Ready to get into some news. We do need to let everybody know that at 9 o'clock or so, Net for Freeman is going to join us to talk about the latest with Pan-African Community Action. And I would like to ask him a couple questions about the meeting that he was a part of the other night that I got to hang out in, and it was a little bit interesting. Sometimes
who was in the meeting?
I mean, it was a collection of DC area greats. So, and it was a PACA meeting in conjunction with Black Lives Matter DC with April Goggins, and shout out to her and a number of other folks. But sometimes community meetings bring community, and not everybody's always on the same page. And so I thought how Netfa and others handled it was very good, and I was probably glad it was not me, because it was anyway. What was that there? Something about money. I don't know.
Somebody give us some money. What they said?
They want to know the Cash App.
If you go to blackpowermedia.org to the donate button there, all of those options are linked. But there you go.
There we go. Ooh. I was like, nobody can remember. There you go.
I was like, don't let that money get by.
You gonna send them different links? You gotta hold up the show to find that. Like, wait a minute, let me find that. Let me get that. Let me dig
sending nobody nowhere.
Yeah, sorry about that. My apologies. Yeah, bad. That's terrible. They're already in the building. You talk about go over.
Go across the room.
Go across,
and then come back into the other side,
and then come back over here. Yeah, it's terrible. That's why. That's why all my business ventures fail. Mm-hmm.
And you just sell weed on the side, so.
Oh man, I was terrible. I sold weed briefly. Well, I forgot my kids are home, but yeah, briefly, and it was terrible. I was terrible. And the moment where two kids run off with your bag, and I remember I stood there for a second and I did the math, and I was like, if you chase, like, I knew who they were. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like if I I know on some level I should chase them or I should wait and catch them another time, and deal. I guess I got to smack somebody, or fight somebody or something. And then I was like, $60 lost. You know what? Maybe I should just do something else. Because I was like, it was just all the calculation. I was like, $60, they're running off. Is this going to be a pattern? I'm not built for this. Let me.
Is this your first day on the block or your first day selling weed?
First day on the block. It was, and it's in these tree-lined street paths, by the way. You got to get the terminology right. It's in the paths. So we walk down to the trees and the paths, and it's like kids you grew up with. So it's like we all know each other. So it's like, anyway, I was just like, you know what? I'm not doing all of that. I'm not doing it.
Hey, Kamal, Jared was like, they cost $10, but just give me $5.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, if it's not that deep, I was like, and then I'm thinking you all made, now you are never going to have this option again. Like, I'm like, you're doing yourself a disservice. It was like, whatever. I see people in the chat, I know you're right, weak. All right, I get it. Okay. I get it. It is. That's why I had to change career paths. That's why I became a professor.
He said I was no good at the week. That's true.
No good at it.
Somebody who knows himself. I like that. That's right. Right.
I remember it was weird too, because I was, a kid, but you stand in there, you do the quick calculation. Fight, chase, repeat, fight, chase, repeat. $60. Man.
They be like, you got that good? He was like, it's all right. It's all
right.
Anyway,
go home and see what's on TV.
Yeah. Just real quick, speaking of also being unprepared, I should just take this opportunity to let folks know that tomorrow morning, Diallo has let us know that he is upset with Geechee and me about how we handled our interview with JT, the pocket watcher, in his absence. He said he went and reviewed the discussion and he's not happy. So tomorrow morning is looking, might be a little lively, isn't it? A little
Fight.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, can we burn it down with Kim Brown?
Of course.
In
the building.
Good morning.
Morning.
Everybody's just waking up. Is everybody just waking up?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Blessings and greetings. Blessings and revolutions to everybody. How's everybody feeling? Everybody touch a neighbor. Good morning. Say neighbor. Neighbor. Let Jesus show up in the form of a cup of coffee. Amen.
Let the house say amen.
Right.
Let the house say amen.
Congregation. Let the congregation, you atheists. You don't even know the terminology out here.
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
Let the house.
It's been a minute.
Where we at? Vegas?
It's been a minute.
He's at the table, right? Let the house say amen and give me that 7.
Yeah, I recently just went to a casino, I know we slapped the Mac, but fuck it, yo. I went to a casino about a month ago and I played some blackjack, some roulette. It was kind of fun. I was up, but then then I lost everything.
Then you was down.
Then I was down. Vegas.
Then I was down.
Casinos do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm considering making my first legal bet in Maryland on this NBA Finals between the Heat and the Nuggets, because the Heat 8 seed is in the finals. What? They at least deserve to have $20 put on them to win.
Well, they're outpacing expectations, so go for it. The Heat in 7.
Heat in 7. Let's get it. But you guys were storying. What was that? What? I'm sorry.
We weren't. You didn't walk into nothing. This is perfect. You walked in
Failed
perfectly
attempt.
timed.
You walked into Jared's sad drug tales.
It's all of. I had to go to the career I went to because I was terrible at everything. You mentioned gambling. I gambled a couple years, lost everything.
Gambled as in you tried to be that was your profession, like that was your thing. You was gonna be
I wouldn't say profession, I was still a pizza delivery guy, but on the side, I was getting into gambling. Had a bookie, had a whole,
You had a bookie, son?
Oh yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
That's the life there.
And one NFL season was enough. I was like, I can't afford this. And then you get those calls too. And I never knew how gangster the dude was. Like, it was all rumors. We never met. It was all very professional. It was all very discreet. And but you get those calls like, you
lost.
You have like the deadline is X, Y, and Z. And and after one season, I was like, you know what I mean? And I even remember one of them. Do you all remember when Colorado, you all won't remember this, Michael Westbrook caught a pass in the end zone, I think against Stanford or somebody like that, in the last second throw from the dude from Cordell Stewart.
Jesus, what was this? In 90?
Exactly. The reason I remember this is because when I was in the car and I was whoever they were playing against, I had money on. And I was up big. When I parked the car, I was up big, 500 plus, I think. Walk into the house, ready to be excited. And in the time it took me to get from the car to the thing is when that last second throw had occurred. And I walked into the room and looked at the TV and almost had a heart attack. I was like, that's it. I can't afford it. Physically, financially, I was like, I don't pick correctly. Motherfuckers throw last second touchdowns and ruin your whole life. I was like, I'm out. I had the call the next day. Yeah, I'm out. Anyway, go ahead.
He wasn't like my bookie, but he was the stereotype like Italian dude, like at my job, this dude who worked in the stock, and like I sat close to the stock room. This is in my college days, and the dude had the slips, and he had the slips for the baseball, the football. And me and a couple of my folks who I got a job there, like we started doing a couple of things, but in the end, it was like this ain't working out. But he was the stereotypical, and he was a little stocky dude too. So it felt like, and he would come into the job every now and then. He like a bruised hair or something. That's like, yo, what life are you leading? What's going on with you, son?
Street life.
He was like, I gotta make collections sometimes. It's like,
but it does make every game exciting, even if you don't like the sport. I mean,
that money.
That money, you looking at scores, stats. But the last thing was, I will say this, and then I'll be quiet on this. But DraftKings, at the very beginning of that DraftKings app, somebody should check me on this, but there was a little bit of a scandal that I remember reading about where the employees at DraftKings had somehow rigged their little algorithm so that however they were doing it, they were able to rig the system so that they ended up winning at either a much higher rate, if not all the time. And I remember thinking, this is the new wave of conning and theft in the digital. And I was like, I'm definitely not messing around, because it does get enticing and exciting. But anyway, I was like,
I never trust electronic games. This is quite a little different. But when they have these like electronic poker, I was like, I don't trust all that. It's like, why am I going to trust this video game as opposed to like the real cards? You know what I'm saying? I was like, I would not get my money. Well, I prefer like 52 cards in a deck I can see physically as opposed to some machine, which feels like, I don't know what you're like, I didn't know the algorithm name at the time, but it was like, this doesn't seem legit. Like y'all just egging me on with this bad little video machine. I'm supposed to be putting my quarters in. I'd rather just sit down at the table and see what happens.
Man, maybe we should get into the history of numbers running and how Black folks ran that, did that. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole Maryland State Lottery is based off stuff that Black people was doing in Baltimore. So
everything there is that broader story of that it came from the Caribbean, and then the numbers got big, obviously in New York, and then just like you kind of see in some of these movies, the Jews and Italians get involved. First the Black and brown folks started all. And then the Jews and Italians get involved and take it over. And then the real thugs come in at the end and take it all over with the federal government.
And the government were that's legalized.
All of that. Yeah, they like and wipe it all out.
We taking our cut.
Yeah. And they said the way they did it was you with all of these, like they offer, cheaper entry tickets, $1, whatever, with bigger pots. And that's basically how you undercut the whole. And then, of course, you arrest and
I was going to say, then you arrest your competition, basically.
It's pretty
You
cool.
jail your
It's pretty cool
competition.
when you can do that, right? It's like you're under arrest, and then we're gonna do the same thing.
Trying to
And then we're gonna say
remember.
we're gonna use the money for schools.
Lies.
which have
Education,
never gotten better
healthcare.
since the history of lottery has been given money to.
Please.
One of the hugest policy lies, at least in this state, is that all the gambling goes to offset the education funding. And it's like, then why are so many of these schools in Baltimore City annually deprived of air conditioning and heat? If the lotto money, and the lotto money is popping, not just the lottery, but the gambling, the casino money, MGM Live, like they keep having record-breaking quarters. So it's like, why are the schools falling down?
Yeah,
then?
the school should be built out. They should be pimped out, right? They should be like every school should have a 3 football fields, a science lab, of like MIT
Every kid
status.
should be getting carried to class.
Yeah, all that money, if that was going to the schools. Oh, come on. It'd be like,
Because they said
pimp
the
my
same thing
school.
about M&T Stadium too. Remember, they did all that. It's gonna all the jobs that are gonna come to Baltimore, and the economy and the local businesses will thrive, and the schools will do better, and it's gonna be. And Baltimore's great. Obviously, they got a casino and a stadium right next to each other. 2 stadiums.
Fabulous. Just doing a
I'm
wonderful
trying to
job.
remember how they used to do in New York, there was something about the daily bets on horse racing, like the last 3 or 4 digits.
OTB.
Yeah, it was like how you knew, like when you hit the number, like that was like how they hit the number or something like that. My mom used to go play it at the corner store. You know what I mean? Used to like get a little slip and stuff like that. And then one time there was like a big fight because they screwed something up, and then people was like mad at the corner store and throwing shit at it for a week. Yeah, well, people, they messed up the number. Somebody messed up
their money.
Yeah, people were not pleased. There was not a please. Yeah.
Well, there is, if we can use that corner store reference as a segue, and Sister Erica has laced us, and with all kinds, good. There's all. Well, I don't want to. Let me not do the joke. It's not a funny story. So, store owner charged with the murder for shooting teen. He's suspected of stealing water, police say. And I believe this is in Columbia, South Carolina, right? This is Columbia, South Carolina. A convenience store owner in South Carolina is facing murder charges after he shot and killed a 14-year-old boy. He's suspected of shoplifting. Asian and Black are the races involved. Rick Chow, I don't know the particularities of the background, but I know that's part of the background of the story here. Rick Chow, who owns the Shell gas station, chased Cyrus Carmen Belton from his store and shot him just down the road. It's senseless. It doesn't make sense. Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott said in a Memorial Day press conference, you have a family that's grieving. We have a community that's grieving over a 14-year-old who was shot. So the police are now the voice of reason in a shooting that they're, I guess, happy that they finally weren't involved in. But stealing water. And if only Cosby were around to say, well, he shouldn't have been stealing the water.
But he didn't steal the water. He didn't steal the water. I think they have surveillance videos showing the young man picking up some items and then putting them back down before leaving the store, which he left empty-handed. And the store owner allegedly shot him in the back.
Yeah, this is the store.
So we have this young person there in South Carolina. We have the 11-year-old in Indianola, Mississippi, who was shot by police in his home after he called 911 to assist his mother in a domestic violence situation. And then, of course, we have the murder of Jordan Neely on the subway streets. It's like it's open season on young Black folks by everybody, by vigilante, by police. I don't even know what to tell young brothers and sisters and gender nonconforming people. Like, what do you even do? People are getting killed out here for doing absolutely nothing wrong.
I mean, part of it, I mean, again, it's just the emptying out of whatever culture was left. I mean, I don't even know. I also don't know what to say because it's just, these are just constant everyday stories, and they're not shocking. They're not surprising. It's just new circumstances. It's just like new ways to kill Black people, right? New circumstances in which Black folks get gunned down, shot down, strangled in the streets of the country. Because it's like you said, it's just open season. And folks feel like they can get away with it now because so many of these laws are around either stand your ground or protecting your property. And again, just so many guns. People don't like, there's maybe different opinions about what to do with it. But there's so many guns on the street. And again, first, when someone's angry, they want to reach for it and they want to show that they can use it. So it's like just so many things that are happening that are like just breaking it down. And the people who are going to suffer first are usually the poorest, the most oppressed, the people that they think that they can get away with it by doing it. And then, and only once in a while after the fact, like, is something done to be like, oh, maybe this one was wrong. Maybe this one crossed the line,
What was the name of that young lady? And chat, I know you guys know, but this happened in Los Angeles, maybe in the 80s, where a young Black girl, teenager, was leaving a convenience store, and the Asian store owner, thought that she had stolen and shot her right in the head.
Yeah, it was, I want to say Latasha Harlins. Was that her name? Yeah, I think that's her name. Latasha Harlins. Yeah.
The story out of South Carolina, that immediately put me in the mindset of that. And it's like, you think you could just kill us over pennies, like over $1, over a bottle of beverage? Like what is going through people's proprietors, entrepreneurs, business, or like what the fuck is going through your head?
And it sounds like in each case that they were both walking away or running, like in each case, because she was also leaving the store when she was shot.
I don't even think the woman who shot her was convicted. I can't remember if she was ever charged, but I don't think she was convicted.
No.
So what's justice? Arrests, convictions? Like, I don't even know what justice looks like in these sort of scenarios.
I mean, at the very least,
community.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say there has to be community-based solutions. It can't just be like looking at the system for justice, right? There is no justice in the system, And so when you have community-based solutions, let's say for the domestic situation in Mississippi, had they had alternative options, they would have never called the police, right? And the police would have never came to their house. And, obviously we know what happens when the police come to your house. So what other solutions do people have so they don't have to call the police, right? What solutions do people have so they don't have, and this is not to say this whole Asian business owner, let's not support Asian businesses because, and I'm not, this is not even that direction of the conversation, but to say is that how many people in the community that own businesses are a part of the community and actually know the people within the community, right? So these are like little things that I feel like if communities had more access to resources, their own support systems, we wouldn't be in these situations every single day. I mean, because Kim, like you're saying, I mean, this is just an everyday situation, right? Kids being shot by somebody is an everyday situation. This is just, we happen to see the stories this week, but it literally happens every day, and so we just have to have more control.
I thank you for that, Coco, and forgive me, everybody. I do just want to clarify. I did misspeak. The woman who killed Latasha Harlins did go to trial. She was convicted of voluntary manslaughter, but the judge sentenced her to 5 years of probation, 10 years of suspended sentence, and 400 hours of community service and a $500 fine.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's what that's the price of a life in our community.
Yeah.
That's the price of a life. And again, if it was switched and Latasha had killed that other person,
come on,
50 years, right? 25 to life. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It would have been all over whatever the newspapers were, whatever Latasha's background would have been exposed or put out to vilify. And that's the game that gets played, right? So, and I don't, I think organizations have a lot of work to do But in any society, you're going to want something. Again, in my opinion, in a functioning society, um, uh, these stores or these places, they're not of the community, right? These are people who are. This is folks who come in. They sell their wares. Usually, they don't live there. But again, even the ones that do, it's like the motto of the system is your clientele, your customers are all potential thieves. They're all dangerous. They're all people to be scared of. They're all people to fear. They're all criminals. And then they get treated as such, right? So if you dare come in and take too long walking around in the aisles, whatever, you're immediately a suspect. And they all, not all of them, but most of these store owners do have things behind the cash register. And to be honest, some of them do have a right to be scared sometimes, because people do come in and do some things that are threatening to their lives. So we just live in a society where there's no trust. Everything is broken down. Everything is dog eat dog. And those are the remnants, the sort of the underbelly of what capitalism is, because all the resources going to a few people or a few corporations up top, and that being administered by government policy. What's left is like, it's all a scramble. It's all about, and if you get busted doing something that particular time, it could end in your life. If someone gets scared of you, it could end your life. So all of that's, that's this the society is so broken. It's part of me, sometimes I like to believe that there's a repair to be done through organizing. And then sometimes I'm like, you got to just scratch it all out and start again, and none of that stuff is like going to happen just like that. Right. So.
Yeah, right on. Anything else anybody want to get to?
I sent you guys a story. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kamal.
I should talk about this story because this is an update on the stuff that's happening around Cop City, where yet another escalation, let's say, has happened here in Atlanta. Yesterday, and this happened shortly after we got off the air, there was a raid by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the Atlanta Police Department on the home of 3 well-known activists and organizers who run the bail fund here in Atlanta, the bail fund called the Solidarity Fund, the Atlanta Solidarity Fund. So these 3 folks are folks that I individually know personally, have worked with. I actually did training for them when I first got to Atlanta over a decade ago when they started doing cop watches. They might have seeked other training, but I was one of the people who did some of their initial training and know your rights training. They are staples in the organizing community. They've done everything from food, not bombs. It's basically giving out food to different people. They started the Atlanta Solidarity Fund. They've also, again, mentioned that they do something called the Cop Watch. They also have a community house that's called the Tear Down. And it says, just after 9 a.m. Wednesday, officers with the Atlanta Police Department and Georgia Bureau of Investigation raided the Tear Down house in East Atlanta. Police arrested 3 organizers with the Atlanta Solidarity Fund, a nonprofit that provides bail and legal support to protesters who are arrested. The arrests are part of the wave of repression facing protesters who oppose the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center, more commonly known as Cop City. And so part of this is that ever since the arrests began to happen around Cop City, part of the narrative that the state has been trying to point to or picture is that we all are within a criminal enterprise. And part of that criminal enterprise is the mere fact that there is a bail fund, which is paying for protesters to get out if they get arrested. And so just the idea of that, and that's what they've been presenting at bail hearings for the people who've been arrested on domestic terrorism charges. That a lot of these people had the number of the bail, the Solidarity Fund written on their arm, and that they've been trying to use as a criminal conspiracy. They haven't yet charged RICO, but they are very close to charging folks with RICO. Part of the search warrant actually had they issued not only went to arrest those folks and charge them, they also had a search warrant. Part of the search warrant or section of the search warrant actually mentions community movement builders, as well as several organizations for information that they were seeking in that house, in the tear down house. Bail funds, to be explicit, right, have been around for over 100 years in this country. Everything from the ACLU to obviously Dr. King's organization and Dr. King himself. They've been part and parcel to organizers having the ability to protest and sometimes intentionally get arrested through civil disobedience or direct action, and sometimes even when they accidentally get arrested because the cops have been aggressive and violent and decided to bust something up. Bail funds have been around to make sure that people can fight charges on the outside as opposed to lingering in jails, right? All of these groups, using Dr. King's the most obvious example, these Southern segregationists preferred for a person like Dr. King to rot in prison or rot in jail awaiting trial. But because his colleagues, the larger movement, were able to create bail funds to pay for not only his bail, but the bail of dozens of other people who would get arrested who normally would not necessarily be able to participate even in these actions under the threat of arrest because they couldn't afford bail. These bail funds have existed. And now these bail funds, this particular bail fund is being targeted by the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia. The response to the arrests, well, let me just say this, and so what they're charging them right now for also is so-called money laundering, claiming that part of the reimbursements that they've given themselves on very simple items somehow was part of a scheme to defraud the donors and a misappropriation of funds. Let me list some of the reimbursements that the actual arrest warrant listed. Expenses such as gasoline, forest cleanup, totes, gasoline as going to the gas, getting gas in your car, totes, COVID rapid tests, media, yard signs, moving the, so these are the things that in the actual arrest warrant, they list as being part of a larger scheme for money laundering. And so they're charging them on issues of misuse of the nonprofit status and money laundering, but they're using the language that this was supporting the larger Stop Cop City movement. We had gotten used to a point where we didn't think that some of these arrests were going to happen, even though we sort of were preparing or predicting them earlier, like maybe months ago. Marlon had did a video, several other people had done a video, including myself, in which we talked about the possibility of RICO charges and other charges against Stop Cop City organizers as an escalation of tactics. We definitely think they picked this time period because the exposure that the city of Atlanta was not just giving $30 million, but was giving upwards of $67 million for this project, and it had lied since day one and not told the public that is what was happening. And then it recently got exposed. In addition to that, March 25th, when there was a huge turnout at City Hall, over 300 people wanted to speak at public comment. 100 of them turned away. Everybody who spoke was opposed to Cop City. The fact that on June 5th, they're voting for this to these funds, the $67 million, they're voting to actually give it to the Atlanta Police Foundation, and they expect a huge turnout, and we expect a huge turnout to be out there. That the timing of this was to interfere and change the narrative of that story, and again, an attempt to criminalize larger organizations for the work that they've been doing. Really quickly, there's no audio to this, but this is the video, one video of the actual raid of the tear down house. In bold, and it says Atlanta.
Can you make it full screen real quick?
Yes, I can.
Thanks.
This quick video, but the SWAT team, again, these people are charged with at this particular time what would be considered a white collar crime,
paper crimes,
right?
So
Whether
with
you
the SWAT team,
the SWAT team at 9 o'clock in the morning.
This is so chilling. I mean, this whole scenario just continues to devolve. Like the state is doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. Like I'm in shock. That I mean, I shouldn't be, and that is horrible. I've spoken to Marlon a couple of times, and man, this is just. What
And
can you
and
do? I
also,
feel like they definitely going like letting the whites know, like, hey, okay, y'all can be out here with these black people if you want to. Y'all gonna get the nigga treatment the exact same way.
mhm. So they have their bail hearing today at 1 o'clock. We don't know obviously what to expect. Usually the first bail hearing, the judges, the magistrates have denied bail, and then there's a follow-up bail hearing a few days later, in which sometimes bail is then set. Again, we're not sure. And then I was going to say, usually, you know how the public officials, when they usually say they can't comment on an ongoing investigation, but that's not what the governor of Georgia did. So he
This
issued
is
this statement.
remarkable. Wow.
For
Yeah,
months, law
sorry.
enforcement on the state and local level have worked diligently to secure the site of the Atlanta Public Training Center in the face of violence from mostly out-of-state activists. They came to harass police officers and civilians, choosing destruction over legitimate protests. Thanks to our brave law enforcement, many of them have been already been arrested. And today, we're proud to share that those who backed their illegal actions are also under arrest and will face justice.
What the fuck?
These criminals facilitated and encouraged domestic terrorism with no regard for others,
Wow.
watching as communities face the destructive consequences of their actions. Here in Georgia, we do not allow that to happen. Today's announcement is a reminder that we will track down every member of a criminal organization, from violent foot soldiers to their uncaring leaders. We will not rest until they are arrested, tried, and face punishment. I commend the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Georgia State Patrol, DNR game wardens, Atlanta police, all of these are policing agencies, right? DeKalb Police, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, Attorney General Chris Carr, DeKalb County DA's office, and all the others who have helped to fight back against these extremists. Rest assured, if you endanger the people of Georgia, law enforcement, like them, will ensure you face swift justice. This is the governor after the announcement of the arrest. Yes.
Don't take this down. Can you go back a slide, please, real quick? Yeah, as you were reading this, I got this eerie vibe. So just leave that there for a quick second. And I want to read this real quick. And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country, should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and the slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. So that third verse of the national anthem, I heard as you're reading this part here with the same kind of energy from good Governor Kemp, that we will not allow this to happen. We will track down every member, from the violent foot soldiers of their uncaring I mean, that is some wild. He must have gone back to the U.S. national anthem in its original state and been inspired, him and his speechwriters.
And in the meantime, we've had the mayor of Atlanta claim that they knew nothing, that they did not know these arrests were happening. But as we saw, the huge truck that says Atlanta Police Department, this has been the #1 story in Atlanta for months now. It is an insult to anyone's and everyone's intelligence for the mayor of Atlanta to claim ignorance when his police force that he's in charge of, he chooses the head of the Atlanta police force, that to act as if he was not only told about it, but directly involved in it, that he wants to claim ignorance, and he's stepping. It's like, oh, I had no idea this was happening. I just was told that we were, anytime there's an operation by Georgia Bureau, we have to be there. It's a complete story and lie. So also, this is all happening. Obviously, we did a press conference, rallies at the jail. Again, there's a bond hearing at 1 o'clock today. All of this has, people doubling down on making sure that June 5th is another huge day at City Hall, in which people come out to protest, again, not only the banking of Cop City by the city government, but also protesting the continued arrests of organizers and activists on these trumped up charges to criminalize the movement. And that fight continues, and my assumption is that there might be more arrests, and not to be hyperbolic about it, that could include somebody like me or other folks from our organization. So it's really putting organizers in a position to be even more on guard, to understand, and for those who have never been clear about this, to understand the use of the government and its repressive tools. When you are truly fighting back against them, they will pull out all stops in order to stop you. And they will justify it through language that Brian Kemp is using. They will justify it to the public. They will try to get the media on their side. So it's something, we're calling June 5th, and there's going to be another week of action coming up soon. And again, we want folks to come. We want folks to be here, because it's only in numbers that we can get any type of protection from the state apparatus. So that is just what's happening here in Atlanta. It happened just as sort of, at least I found out about it just, a little bit after we got off the air yesterday. And then obviously spent the whole day scrambling around these issues and trying to figure out what's going to happen. So again, 1:00 today is the bond hearing, which is going to be on videotape. People can't go. I'll find that link and put it into the chat for folks. I think having a large audience listening or looking will also be helpful in showing that there's, again, a large amount of support for these folks. These are folks who we have worked with and known for literally over a decade on the scene of Atlanta. This bail fund was established way before the current sort of protest against Cop City. They've literally gotten hundreds of people out of jail who were awaiting trial. Never have they been charged with anything during that time period. It is only now that they are being targeted because of the support against Cop City.
Where can we send support if not to the Solidarity Fund? Does CMB have a bail fund?
No, but there's a national bail fund that is filling in, and I can get that information, but there's a national bail fund. And again, folks know, and anybody who's an organizer, a lot of cities, most cities, particularly major metropolitan areas, will have established bail funds, and there are some national bail funds. And so there is a national bail fund which is stepping in the meantime to offer support and to have bail ready for these folks. The expectation, again, to me, is that at some point they're going to freeze the assets of the bail fund. And so those resources will not be available to help get folks out in the future until this trial period is over, or these charges, are dealt with in some way. They may be trying to disband the Atlanta Police Fund. We just don't know yet what's going to happen in response to that. So there is a national bail fund that probably has, the resources and structure to defend itself. But it is a national respected bail fund. I will get that link and put it in for folks who want to donate. They can donate directly there. And those resources will go to help not only these organizers, but again, the other organizers who are either still remaining in jail and or the ones who now are awaiting the long process of a trial. We've had over 70 arrests over the last 2 years in terms of the Stop Cop City campaign. And over 40 of those arrests have been people charged with domestic terrorism.
So for sure, we can come back to this in the next hour with our next guest included, who can speak intelligently about all these issues as well. But in the interim, speaking of awaiting, we do have the ear doctor awaiting. Come back and give us a little interregnum here.
Yeah,
and
we
then,
need one.
You owe us, and then you owe us a mix from yesterday. And thanks to the remixers again, who have gotten us well over 300 today, this morning. You owe us once again. So
What
just
are you, like Genuine and Nas? You owe me.
No problem.
You know what I'm saying? All right. No problem.
But thanks,
All right.
Kamal, for that update, by the
For
way.
real.
Oh
That's
my God,
heavy, yeah.
Mal,
That's something right there, man. All right. Well, we need a break after that because that's wild. Right here on no other than the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Boy, they be after that blood money, boy. I tell you. All right. Well, welcome out to the Remix Morning Show right here, right now. I'll go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Please make sure y'all hit that like button. We got 311 people watching live right now. So continue to tell people that we are on right now until 10 o'clock today. All right. With that said, we still got more shows and stuff after that. So keep watching Black Power Media, y'all. All right. So let's keep it going. Artist Spotlight. Do a quick one right here. One of my favorite artists, comedians, dancers that ever graced the stage. Let's talk about her. No other than LaWanda Page. Oh, there we go. Yeah. You know, a lot of y'all might know her, as Honesta. But she is LaWanda Page, also known as Alberta Richmond, coming straight out of Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, she is, like I said, a dancer, comedian, actress. She was known as the Black Queen of Comedy. She came with a lot of signifying, observational comedy, where she talked about sexuality, race relations, African culture, American culture, and religion. She actually put out 5 solo albums, and including her gold-selling album in 1977, which was "Watch It, Sucker." That was her line from Sanford and Son. She also did 2 albums with comedy group Skillet, Leroy and Company. But like I said, she's best known for Sanford and Son. And then later on, the executive produced by Eddie Murphy, where he came back and did some more. So she worked with Fred Sanford for a while. Not only for a while, they actually went to high school together back in St. Louis. So they've been known for a while. And after she got out there, she started off being a fire-breathing dancer. That's right. She was out there with the fire dancing and stuff. Then she started doing stand-up comedy with Skillet and Leroy. She got to perform on stages with Red Fox and Richard Pryor. And then later on, after that, Red Fox called her back up and said, "I got a show called Sanford and Son. I need you to come play a role." Here came Aunt Esther. So, yeah, she's been doing it for a while, on the scene for like 5 decades, y'all. And she's been in a lot of different TV shows and movies talking about Love Boat, Martin, Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood, and so many other shows. So, like I said, she got over 7 albums. Go check her out if you haven't already. She was credited due to Moms Mabley putting her out there. She died of a heart attack, complications of diabetes back in 2002 at the age of 81. And that is no other than LaWanda Page, y'all. That's right. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah.
Like my man
Definitely
at
one of
Prim's Hood Cinema says, she's an all-star. She's an all-star.
Put that picture up real quick of her, or like why could have caught it? She could have caught it.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
You can't say that. I mean, I like that red dress.
Apparently you can say whatever.
You got it in, Doctor. Right? You got it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's a Black TV cultural icon right there. Like Aunt Esther is deep in Black Americana. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What was Aunt Esther's husband name?
Woodrow.
Oh, that's
right.
Wow, that's good trivia right there.
Yeah, that's Woodrow.
Well done.
The wino.
Yeah.
The wino.
Ned the wino was the other guy that came through. It wasn't Woodrow.
Ned the wino and Woodrow was played by the same dude, I think.
I thought that. I was like, hold up. That's her husband.
Yes, Ned the wino and Woodrow was just played by the same dude. He was great too. Well, shout out to that brother. He was an excellent drunk.
No
playing
doubt.
drunk on TV.
That is what it is. I come back and hit y'all with another break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Peace.
All right, right on.
Thank you,
So other than the bells and whistles of giving him his proper dues, I don't know that we need any special transitions and buttons pushed. But
yes, we do. Nefta Freeman.
Well, that's what I was. So I was going to do better than that. I meant in terms of the transition. Anyway, I was going to say the legendary activist, organizer, radio host, Pan-African Community Action. Yeah. Voices with Vision, WPFW, Black Alliance for Peace, BPM's favorite guest roster list champion, Net for Freeman. That's what I was trying to do. I was just trying to say we don't need to have a whole little you know what I'm saying? Net for what's up, man?
Thank you.
And just to add one more to your list of accolades, one of my favorite people, man. And that was on display the other night. Hey, so I want to start off this way, if I may. I want to apologize to you, Net, for Kamal. You might have suffered this at one point years ago, and others who have at one point in life suffered Jared's appearance at some activist meeting after Jared read freshly some brand new text to him and felt he was then qualified to pontificate on any and every topic that the meeting came up with. I want to apologize because years later, sitting in the audience once again and watching others fall into that same trap, I was like, how is Netfa going to handle this all night long? And for hour after hour, Netfa ducking and diving, moderated, hosted. Brother Garrett right there helping you. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. But in all seriousness, go ahead, man. I just thought it was remarkable. It was a good reminder to be in, quietly in the audience once again and to see, how things go in these meetings. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Well, I appreciate it. I think you're giving me way too much credit because it was other people in the room. It was. Yeah. I think if I can say what you're kind of referring to is people that come into the spaces that have ideas that are, they're just reflective of the stuff that we're exposed to that may not be in line with the ideological trajectory, I want to say, that we're trying to go in. It may not be as radical. I'll just say that, and sometimes, that happens. But that's what we're here for. We're here for to collectively, learn from each other and share stuff and all that. And I really am inspired by the young people that come to these spaces, not even just my pocket comrades, because them too, but even the other folks that come, and they chime in and we all learn together. We just put up the presentation. We put up, in this instance, we were talking about, what was that one? I want to get the title right of the forum, Internationalism, Malcolm X and African Liberation Day. And that was Tuesday. That was actually a special session of our Asada Shakur study group. We don't have it usually on that time. This one was actually a collaboration between Black Lives Matter DC, Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, and Stop Police Terror Project. And so we usually do the Asada Shakur study groups every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. But we have this collaboration with those groups that we do something else, and each of us take turns leading one of the sessions. It's a separate from the Asada Shakur study group. So this time it was Paka's turn to do this one, and it was what's today? It was Monday. I'm sorry.
Today's Thursday, so I think it was. Yeah. Was it Tuesday?
I think it was
the other night. Yeah.
It was Tuesday. And so that was the topic, and we led that one. And then we had, people, and we just put out we lay out information as visuals and PowerPoint. Some of it includes multimedia. So it includes film clips and readings from things and whatnot. And we were given the purpose of that particular session was to help us all learn more about the synergy or the interconnectivity between those three things: internationalism, Malcolm X, and the legacy of Malcolm X, and African Liberation Day, and what can it tell us about our movement today. So that was what it was about, and that's what we talked about. I appreciated you being in the space. I feel honored when you come to space. Like, but man, Jared, don't say nothing. Come on, for real, man. But
no, but what Jared, it was a reminder of, and I'm serious about this part, like because there was a part, for a good amount of time where all I did was show up and be quiet. And I sometimes feel like that sometimes that part of activism gets lost, especially now in the virtual age. And it does feel like sometimes everybody who has now read that first set of books and articles has to have a podcast and a platform and take over meetings and challenge legendary figures. I mean, people in there like Malcolm was wrong and Du Bois didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, it's like, And it's like, I mean, wow. I mean, but I know I've been guilty of that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I know it's, so that's why I was joking. And I'm saying, like, I'm sure at some point years ago, you and others suffered that moment where Jared, fresh off of his new article, showed up at the meeting, and the first Q&A opened up was like, I got all the answers. And it sometimes, so I was sitting quietly the other night, and I was like, oh man. But yeah, anyway, so I appreciate your answer here and how you all dealt with it the other night. April Goggins was there and as well gave a good part of the presentation. So it was dope. That's all I was really trying to just jokingly refer to. But yeah,
the ones with the collaboration, and that's a long-standing collaboration. You know, I'm not usually the one that is our liaison for that. So I'm guilty of not really knowing when they actually are. I think it's like once a month or something. I'm sorry if I'm doing the wrong thing, but I can tell you about the PACA, regular Africa. Did I say ASSGs? What that stands for us is Asada Core Study Groups. And so it's regular. We do it twice a month, second and fourth Wednesday. And then we do it in the same space. So this is a hybrid thing that we're trying to get back from hybrid. I know, y'all, those of us who are doing this organizing know what that is. The pandemic put us all online, but we can't make a revolution online. So we've been trying to move people into the space where we used to have them, and the Black Workers and Wellness Center in Southeast DC is owned by One DC, and we have, so to do that, we set it up in person where people can come in person, but also keeping that option to be able to be online, just because so many people are used to. And that's where we still get most of the attendance. But we've gotten attendance now since we had to start doing this. And I'm sure every organization has experienced where people come from all over the world, so they can't even be there physically. They're just like somewhere else. And that still is the overwhelming majority of our attendance. And we're still trying to get back, recover from this thing.
I was going to say quickly that going off of what you guys mentioned, I mean, that is part of the sort of, there's a facilitation skill to allowing discussion and debate, and even in terms of, I could obviously, I know you have that skill even in your description of what the interference was. It was done in such a profoundly neutral way, where in the back of your head sometimes when you're hearing people say some things, you're like, what are you talking about? But outwardly, it is the job of somebody who's trying to moderate and facilitate to try to keep that discussion going, to pull out some seeds of like what you think that person might have meant, and try to put it in a way that allows discussion to continue. And then it may get to a point where you're having strong and good ideological debate, but it also gets to a point where somebody may just be disruptive in the space. But facilitating political education, obviously even just larger meetings, but political education can be so difficult because we do know people enter these places, and rightfully so, at different places in their construct of like, what does it mean to be politicized, or what's the ideology they're bringing to the table, right? And those things are sometimes the hardest things to make sure that as people get passionate, it doesn't get unruly, it doesn't get like crazy, or you don't have to listen to somebody talk about some ideological position, whether that you've, again, whether they don't think this is true or not, but you and most of the folks in the room have already dismissed decades ago, or we're just like, I have no idea, outside of somebody who's just like, a little off. I mean, that happens too at these meetings where, somebody comes in and just like, we had a meeting a few weeks ago, or it was like a community meeting, and someone came in late, and they had a little, a little of the sauce, as they would say in the Stanford and Sun time. But they raised their hand, they started talking about, I am the king of such and such and such, and it's like, oh Lord, here we go. That kind of thing. So yeah,
that happens, and you got to be different. One is, that's our people, those our people. So and we come with stuff, and then aside from those instances, the last instance you mentioned, generally we're all just trying to learn together. We don't want to assume nothing. So yeah, I hear you, but I do want to give, because normally I'm not the facilitator, and I ended up doing that because of myself. Normally the Asada Core study groups that we do, and what we do is one of the other, I do the tech stuff behind the scenes and show the slides. I opened my big mouth on this one because they came back from the collaboration meeting talking about, they want us to do something on internationalism, Malcolm X, and African Liberation Day. And I'm like, we could do all of them. You know, it's just one topic. You know, of course, that meant I had to. But that was a good one. In terms of the struggle that happens, that was kind of mild compared to. We've had some like the one we did, and this was a Shakur study group that was. It wasn't that long ago. It was on the what was it called, the how capitalism underdeveloped hip hop. Man, that one was hot. I was like, okay, because you had all the hip hop historians and whatnot, and the role of capitalism and what came first. Was it the, I don't know. It was interesting, but it was a good one. It was a really good session, I think. And what we do is because of the multimedia, sometimes we, without even really planning it that way or anticipating, like in the one you just had, Jared, we didn't really have to. Some of the stuff people said, we had a video like Kwame Ture, and what was the first one? It was Malcolm.
Well, Malcolm and Kwame Ture, and then the Bandung piece.
Yeah, later. Yeah,
but it was anyway, it was in one of those. I don't want to put anybody. I don't want to get too specific, but it was one of those things where there were people were contradicting what had just been said in the video. And without seeming to address that they heard what was said in the video or something like that. It was a version of kind of like what Kamal was talking about, where my favorite is when people will come in late and then they'll say, this may have been discussed already, but let me go ahead and run my entire analysis down anyway. You're like, yeah, we did kind of address that. And in fact, the video just said anyway. But it
was followed up. But yeah, we got a lot. I don't want to take up too much of y'all time. I really enjoy being here, so I don't know how much time I got to talk about it. But you know, we got a few things going on, and not just Paca, Black Lives for Peace and whatnot. I don't know where to. I don't know.
Oh well, Kamal's saying he's got to leave, so you might as well stay the rest of the show and go through the rest of the news.
You gotta leave? Okay, but let me say this before you leave, Kamal. So one of the things is we sending somebody to Atlanta for the National Black Organizers Conference.
You said one?
We're trying to get more. I mean, because there's so people, I don't know how. Yes, at least one person. That's all I can promise. We might do more. Now we have a kind of a conflict that I'm hoping that we can say something else about, and without this on June 25th, and I don't know if you might have covered it on the remix. I don't know, on Black Power Media, is June 25th, specifically on Sunday. There's a mobilization to Washington D.C. to demand that Cuba be removed off the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. And so that's why I'm not going to be able to come. Otherwise, I'd be there. I'd be one other person going there, so I can't go for that reason. But we want anyone who can come to DC, without trying to compete or whatever. Then we need to, kind of mobilize people to that. Maybe we can have somebody else come on and talk about that a little later. We should. It doesn't have to be me, it's other people. But you know how ridiculous it is that the U.S. even has a list that they designate people as U.S. state sponsors of terrorism. After all that they, I don't.
It should just be a list of one. It should just read us.
and maybe
look in the mirror, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. It's just wild, But and then the second ridiculous part that Cuba's on it. Cuba that has never attacked any country, has never, organized or with any other nation to attack any country or commit any acts of terrorism. Cuba that has been the subject, and this is the part that gets least talked about when we talk about Cuba a lot, has been the target of terrorist attacks orchestrated primarily from the shores of Florida, from Miami, but and so for decades, have thousands killed and injured and maimed over the decades. From bombs being planted in hotels by CIA trained Cuban extremists, to blowing up the Cuban airliner back in the 70s that killed all 70 some people on board flying from Barbados from Venice, Caracas to Barbados. I mean, I could list a whole number of them. And those of us who are familiar with the case of the Cuban Five, the 5 Cuban heroes who were dispatched to the U.S. because they didn't know what else to do, basically to infiltrate the extremist groups that the U.S. had been harboring, to infiltrate them, and then end up getting locked up themselves and serving, and not serving, but being sentenced to draconian sentences. They did serve some stuff, but the negotiation between the U.S., between the Obama administration and Cuba in 2014 saw their release, thankfully. So they're back home in Cuba. But this is just the irony of it. And now when we're doing this campaign to demand that Cuba be removed, this is not, and people need to understand that this is not about salvaging or dealing with the reputation of Cuba. It has nothing to do with that. People around the world know this is ridiculousness, and even people in the United States are probably don't even know about it, let alone and it's really about, this is the U.S. uses this terrorist list as another means of leveling sanctions against the country. So it inhibits the ability for the country, for Cuba in particular, in this instance, to have international transactions between other countries and also other multinational institutions and companies and whatnot. And so really it's about that. And so we're part of this campaign. The Black Alliance for Peace endorsed the campaign. The Black Alliance for Peace Haiti America's team has endorsed it, and there's a number of other signatories endorsed to the campaign. And part of just the campaign itself is
we want to sign on. If I can be so bold.
So you mean the
BPM? Like we want to start getting, let us sign on. We got to bring the ear doctor back up here anyway, so we'll ask him if we have permission for that. And then Netfa, if it's all right, since we lost Kamal, I mean, if you got time, hang out for the rest of the show. We got some news to get into, some other stories. It'd be great to have you hang out if you're available, if you got some time. Yeah, but what's up here, doctor? Can do we have permission to have BPM sign on to some of these?
I allow it. Now, speaking of Cuba, we do have Black Power Media is EPing or executive producing the documentary coming out at the end of the year, beginning of next year. Yeah. So get ready for that.
That's true.
We outside.
Yeah, we out. Yeah.
Netfa. I said Netfa. Boy, I'm terrible.
I know.
Right.
I was, yeah. Anyway.
I fixed it. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
I want action. Show me, baby. I need action. I got no time to lose.
Yeah, I want action. Action. That's right. Big up to no other than Special Ed and his DJ Action. And also Michelle A for Dr. Dre doing that track over right there. That actually was Action by Orange Crush, in case you didn't know, but now you do. All right, let's take a quick look into another artist spotlight. Somebody actually that is an artist, but also an MC. And there's some recognizable people in this video. And the name of the artist is Fahamu Piku. That's right, Fahamu Piku. And this song is called Air Conditioning. So check it out right here on the Remix Morning Show.
Rappers in escape from the trap that once held him. Now on stage, rap the trap is what he tells them. Eyes on the gold is what bells him. Rap saved his life, then turned around, failed him. Eyes on the gold is what bells him. Rap saved his life, then turned around, failed him. This is why it's hot on the block, air conditioning. A multi-generational product of our conditioning. You won't get far in this life without discipline. Sometimes you gotta break the tradition, man. This is why it's hot on the block, air conditioning. A multi-generational product of our conditioning. You won't get far in this life without discipline. Sometimes you gotta break the tradition, man. What we inherit from our parents is apparent. As a parent now, I can see it more transparent. We raised in the hood to survive or you perish. You could end up in the pen or a pimp sweet terrace. Some raised by single parents, others under marriage, but you have to judge a child by his own perseverance. It don't matter where you're from. What matters is your talents. With determination, we can rise above any challenge. In the hood, it's never easy, but the struggle is a gift. The spirit is developed, so for life we're more equipped. Inner strength help us keep a solid grip if we should slip. Fall 7, get up 8. It's only failure if we quit. We the hope for the future. What we do today is urgent, so the children that we father know that they were truly worth it. No one's perfect. We learn to let mistakes be our lessons. Let our actions speak louder, so our seeds can reap the blessings. This is why it's hollow the block.
All right, there you go. Right there, that is no other than air conditioning. You see a couple guests in there? Ah, yes, let's talk about it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's get to it as we bring back our hosts. Let's do it. Yeah.
That was hot.
great.
Yeah, that's Fahamu Piku.
that
That's
was
crazy because I was in there with my son and he just graduated. You see how young he was. And
That's
then-
what yeah,
I was
okay.
wondering who let you around the kid.
Whoa, word, Coco.
I'm
Okay.
joking. I'm
Nah,
joking.
that was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. And that was Little Yachty, the rapper. Also, now he was in that video too. Bunch
That
of
second
different-
verse sounded like Stick.
Oh,
for
that
some
was Stick.
reason.
Actually,
Stick?
that was
okay,
Stick.
that's what I
He
thought.
was featured on that song.
Okay,
So-
right on. Okay, right on. Very
So,
good.
yeah, we be
That was
outside.
dope.
I heard y'all got the what you call it, pop for the copyright thing.
Yeah, Sony, still owns their first album apparently, so they yanked it. But it's up now without the video.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's back
Do they
up.
do that? They put it. They take the video out and put it back up, or y'all have to do something?
No, we have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to. YouTube allows you to trim out the section of
Mhm.
the offending section if
Mhm.
you so desire.
So y'all have never played anything that got? Because I guess the ear doctor just does. How do you?
I mean,
It
wait.
depends.
We can't say all that on the air now. This is
Oh.
allegedly. All right, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, certain local rappers that ain't really going through the systems like that, you can play their music. That's why I always ask people, local people and people that, independent artists, send your music in. We're rocking for you. Just they
Oh,
want.
okay.
All right. Well, I'll catch you at the end of the show. Peace.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, that
Peace.
was good. That was a nice little cut.
So, good people, anything you wanted to get to? Any stories, any issues you all wanted to have us get to?
I sent you a link from
You did. And you know what?
Engadget. What's that?
I was going to say, sorry. I think it's the I already had it up because it's in the
Run sheet.
Erica had the same story, but let me see. We'll pull it up here.
Yeah. So
Here you
Amazon
go.
settles lawsuit with the Federal Trade Commission over Ring doorbell privacy concerns. And this is kind of interesting and also a very low number as far as we're talking about Amazon lawsuits. So it says Amazon will pay $5.8 million to settle a recently announced privacy lawsuit raised by the Federal Trade Commission. And according to the federal complaint, Ring camera had allowed some of its employees and third-party contractors to fully access their customers' video content. Then unfettered access was abused by some of the workers. So what they're alleging is, or what the FTC says that Ring did, owned by Amazon, is that, everybody got a Ring camera, Well, the Ring employees were just checking y'all shit and doing whatever with it, having unfettered access to it. People's private videos were downloaded, they were re-uploaded, they were transferred to other places. And it's interesting because the proliferation of these Ring doorbell cameras specifically, how they are touted by law enforcement, how cities are giving businesses and residents credits to, if you want to get security, crime, we give you this Ring camera voucher. And look at that. as everybody here, I'm sure already knew and suspected that this information was being manipulated, being abused. But also beyond that, we know with Ring and a lot of these big tech companies, they can and will give law enforcement your information completely unbeknownst to you. So just do some reconsiderations with your home security. I don't know if we can have closed circuit TV when it comes to having security cameras around the house, but these Ring cameras is not it. And I think only settling this lawsuit with the FTC for $5.8 million, Jeff Bezos had that in his change cup in his Phantom. You know what I mean? $5.8 million ain't shit. So
you said they
anyway,
spent $1 billion to buy the iRobot a couple years ago. So yeah, you're right. I mean, what do they care about a couple million?
Little tiny cost of doing business.
Mm-hmm. And this Reuters story is saying that women were spied on since 2017 in particular, and then that Amazon had already paid 25 million because Alexa had been recording children's information, and so they had to pay out millions to families. So yeah, that's some wild. That's yeah, but you know. Got to be at it anyway. Yeah,
I know, but so I mean, how we circle this back to our topic, and of course, our esteemed guest. I mean, Nefa, you know what's up in DC. Mayor Bowser trying to give everybody credit. Don't you want a credit to get this Ring camera? So we need more Ring cameras. If we had Ring cameras everywhere, then the crime would go down.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
really doing the crime thing in DC. And you know about the police chief Conti is going up to the FBI and calling it resigning, but he's going to the FBI. But DC, and I'm sure, I think, because also I was hearing Kamau talk about what's going on in Atlanta and that persecution. And one of the things, and this is something Paca's working on, is we're trying to do a paper, and some of the folks have been researching and trying to issue something that talks about how DC is, what are we calling it? It's saying it is a DC, it demonstrates the US as a police state federally, you know, nationwide as a police state, what's happening. And right now, you know, we use this term, the crisis of legitimacy of the rulers, and they don't have, you know, anything to fall back on except more repression and control, you know, despite all the outward appearances of trying to seem friendly to the people's interest and be responsive and whatnot. They're really increasing the police and persecuting those of us who are activists and whatnot. They're concerned that no matter, you know, the fact that their propaganda is not working on people like they really think like it needs to. So fascism always needs some level of credibility to operate, and it's trying to maintain, you know, credibility in the eyes, or legitimacy in the eyes of the people who are actually have whose interests are antithetical to it. We accept it in some level. And so, you know, all that selling the police to people and the need for police and the need for surveillance, the conditions that the crime and all that stuff that I mean, I don't, whether it's rising or not, that can be said because they play with statistics, but it's no mistake that there's stuff going on. You know, we can see it. But these are conditions that are born out of neoliberalism. They're born out of the desperation and despair of the people, which they have no intention of really addressing. So their only response is repression and police, you know. And then those of us who come to say, well, we need a different system. We need the rulers need to be deposed and the people need to be exercising self-determination and what we call decolonization, really, because that's what it is. We're colonized by, you know, white supremacist capitalist patriarchal system. They're going to repress us. They're going to find ways and repress our allies and and criminalize our behavior, you know, try to call it criminal. But anyway, that's yeah.
All right. On.
Yeah, no, that's factual. That's factual. I mean, but like, you know, like what do people do in these situations? And I think that goes back to the earlier conversation, is like, you know, why organizing is important, why we have to, you know, be supportive of the people in the community so that they don't need these systems of repression, right? They don't need these Ring cameras and these alarm systems that call the police, you know, to come to your door whenever something happens. You know, we definitely need to think about how we support each other. And I think that's, you know, that's crucial in these, especially in these times.
I mean, I don't have a camera system. Damn, maybe I should announce that, but I don't. but I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of it. I'm opposed to the idea of any and every video frame being captured is corporatized and then sent to the state. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have tech backgrounds, anybody? Like, what is an alternative to Ring if I did want to have security cameras around? Because again, women need to be vigilant about their security. I've seen a number of these, and I think they did happen to be Ring cameras, but they didn't have to be. But where a male is trying to enter a woman's home, her domicile, and but for the camera capturing the attempted whatever, you know, I don't know how much proof would have been there. And again, I'm not saying that video evidence keeps you safe at all, but it is something to have. And but I don't agree with Amazon, the behemoth disgusting like Amazon, who doesn't care about privacy or anything like that, and again, who will turn over all your information to the state, no questions asked. I mean, do we have alternatives? Is there an alternative?
Yeah. I'm not okay. You
there are
Well,
alternatives.
Say,
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Coco.
No, there are. I mean, I feel like I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Cam, right? Like, let's not say that we don't need these things, right? Because I think that, you know, in certain instances, like, you know, we need to know what's happening in our personal space. And obviously there's bad, you know, actors out there that are going to violate us, right? And so, but we have to also have that backup system. You know, when you have a camera, you know somebody's doing something to you. Who are you going to call? And I think that has to be connected, right? And so, and I think even with these Ring cameras, you don't have to turn that system on where it communicates with the police. You don't have to turn on that program, whatever it's called, Neighbors and all of that. All of there's settings for all of that. The problem is people are not educated to know. You know, when you get technology devices, people don't know how to use them and all of the different settings and features. And so you're just setting it up and you're willfully giving information to the police without even recognizing that, because then you think, you know, and they set it up that way, right? And so that, I think, is the problem. I think we need more technology that's not owned by Amazon. I think that would be helpful, right? You know, so that our privacy is not, you know, in question. Again, we don't need Amazon, period, right? But I think we do need, you know, the alternative is like, okay, say we have cameras, what do you do with that information, and who do you go to with that information? I think that is necessary to put those two things together, but also educating people on these devices. And I think that's another thing, because people really don't know that they are collaborating with the police, even if they might want to or not want to or whatnot, because the way it's set up is that you don't know what you're using, because that's again, phones, everything, you know, we sign accept the terms and conditions, right? And you don't know what terms and conditions you're accepting. So I think that's important as well.
Creating that alternative. And I like what you said. The first thing, Coco, you said was the issue of us being able to create different society or community for ourselves and alternatives and whatnot. So that means also we got to deal with the frustration and despair that comes from the economic and other repressive conditions in our community. Something alternative, and then also we have to be politically educate, mass political education of our community. So I mean, we're dealing with people's behavior. The only way to stop this stuff that's happening, there seems to be, you know, the misogyny and even other types of, you know, crime and whatnot, we got to address the people who are committing it. I mean, we got to see what kind of things that we can. So there has to be something. I think of revolutions a lot, and revolutions that have had time to germinate a different culture among the people, like, you know, and there's no avoiding that. And we don't have to overthrow the system to start now to actually build some sort of a political education and way of transforming the people that are around us. That I thought I saw Jared going like this, so I stopped talking.
Oh no, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just.
No, I missed. I thought I saw something.
No, I'm not telling you to wrap up. Nah, hell no. What are you crazy?
That is all I had to say on that one.
Ear doctor's the only one that has that power around here. I was just twiddling my fingers while you spoke. Okay. I think we got a couple more minutes before Ear Doctor comes back, or are we just going to go through to the break? I'm not even sure what we're going to do, but let me just share this, Nefa, because you had asked us to share this link as well. In terms of, is this an IPS event that you're hosting?
This is both. This is a collaboration as well. This is IPS. I mean, some of the groups it might not really. This is Institute for Policy Studies, Advocacy Network for Africa, Africa Faith and Justice Network, African Great Lakes Action Network, Africa World Now Project, Black Alliance for Peace, and the Friends of the Congo. And so that's happening this Monday. We're encouraging. It's another hybrid. We had to do these hybrids, but we really want people to start coming in person. It's a lunchtime thing. A lot of people may not be able, but if you're in the DC area on Monday the 5th, this Monday the 5th, noon to 2 o'clock, people are going to be fed. We need you to RSVP at what's the URL for the RSVP is unveiling truth and inspiring change.eventbrite.com. Go to that and what it is, it's a book. This is about a kind of showcasing a book that's called the book is called Survivors Uncensored 100 Plus Testimonies of Resilience and Humanity. And it was a lot of people who are not just from Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, but also the other countries in the Great Lakes region, and just the type of repression that they face at the hands of neocolonialism in the region, and also looking at the U.S. and Western involvement in that role, and the misnomers about Rwanda, and the role of right now is the Paul Kagame government, and this whole, we heard about the genocide and whatnot, but there's a different story that they don't really tell you about. We're going to cover all that, and there are people that are, those are the panelists that are going to be speaking. The author, Delphine Yandamutso. Delphine, she's from Rwanda Accountability Initiative and co-author of the book Survivors Uncensored. Claude Gatabuke, a friend of mine, also of the director of the Great Lakes Action Network, and also co-author of the book. Salome Ayuak of the Black Alliance for Peace Africa team, and then a special guest from Kisangani, Democratic Republic of Congo, and some other folks that'll be there and part of the thing. It'll be hybrid, so you can also, if you can't make it in person, and you go to the top of that Eventbrite page, you can actually register. The hyperlink will take you to the Zoom to register for that. And so I'll just repeat the thing again. It's unveiling truth and inspiring change.eventbrite.com is the URL for that event. And so yeah.
Right on. Thank you very much.
Can we drop that link in the chat?
Yeah, want me to drop it? I'm sorry. I don't know how to get the chat to the rest of the people, but I'm going to drop. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or not, but here it is.
You could put it in the chat here, and then I'll.
Okay.
I'll drop it in the full chat there. So in the interim, while I'm doing that, we can bring the Ear Doctor back up here and whoops, my bad, get us ready for our last break segment, and then he can get himself ready for when these mixes he owes.
20-minute workout. 20-minute workout, cuz. That's what
I did all 3 breaks already. But
this isn't a break.
20-minute workout.
I mean, I got something I can share real quick. Then if we got so what are we saying then?
Sharon's Karen,
because I got sent this.
You got time.
Daruba actually sent me this, and since I thought it was interesting, because we did a couple segments recently on the Sudan, and he thought this. I'll just play this little section from.
Oh yeah, I was going.
This is Representative Daly out of go ahead, Nefa.
No, you was gonna say it out of the European Parliament, representing Ireland in the European Parliament.
And she often has interesting and seemingly worthwhile things to say, but this is a clip from what she just said recently about what's happening in Sudan.
Western media shows 2 warlords, 2 rival military factions ordinary people frightened and fleeing, but nothing explained, no context, no responsibility. The European elites throw up their hands and wonder, how shall we swoop in and save the Africans from themselves? But there's no mention of European funding, external border policies, the financing of state forces to round up desperate people migrating north to stop them reaching Europe. We've removed our fingerprints from this disaster and we pretend it comes from nowhere. I agree that we need peace, but how? As usual, this isn't about what we must do, but what we've got to stop doing. Sudan needs civilian government. Sudan needs economic justice. It needs an end to militarized extractivism in rural communities driven by the circuits of Western capital. That's the cause of the decades of instability and suffering in Sudan. If we stop paying the warlords wages, maybe then the people of Sudan would have a chance at civilian government.
Damn. Drop that.
I actually saw that
Yeah,
one with
yeah.
another clip that she talks about the same thing I was just talking about, the terrorists. I don't know if it's a terrorist list, but yeah, she did, and she just
Same
like
thing.
named all
And
these
same thing
things.
when it comes to Ukraine and Russia too.
Yeah, man. She just and that was what she was talking about, Ukraine and Russia, and just named all these countries that the U.S. is supporting terrorism, Yemen and Palestine, and I mean she just ran it down. I was like,
Well,
No.
the Irish know a little bit about that colonialism. Sorry,
That's right.
Kim, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's seemingly, I don't know if this is the same woman, but there was another Irish, parliamentarian. I can't remember if it was in the European Parliament or in Ireland's actual legislative body. But during the Obama administration, I mean, laid the Obamas out. I mean, like the Obamas were coming to Ireland to visit, and this lady, I don't know if it was the same lady, but she read them down. I'm like, who are these people? Look at these Irish women going extra hard. And sometimes, it's good to hear that kind of stuff come from Europeans, because it's like, okay, well, some of y'all get it. That's good to know.
But the Irish, I just my first exposure to like the Irish and the movement of Ireland and the colonialism that they faced was in the All African People's Revolutionary Party, and we used to have the Irish, the IRA, come and speak at African Liberation Day and all that for like way back in the day, and they'd be saying the most revolutionary, they'd be down with Pan-Africanism and all that. They just they'd be issuing solidarity statements, just the cold, clear politics, that you don't see any other white people have, and I was like, I always have respect for the Irish, as well, until when I learned it that from the party. Not always. That's since I was born. No, just kidding.
I remember in undergrad, an Irish descended woman in one of my classes was given a report and where she lamented IRA relationship with the Black Panther Party. And I just remember making a mental note because I didn't know anything about it at the time. And I remember making a mental note like, well, she's dead wrong. Like that sounded like a good thing. I was like, what is she talking about? But anyway, I was like,
right.
We do have a couple other stories that we can work in if you all want, that Erica has blessed us with.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, just a real quick that note. It reminds me of the history of Bernadette Devlin of the Irish and accepting the key to the city from, was it New York? And she gave a speech, cold-blooded speech, and turned it over and said, give this to the Black Panther Party. I was like, oh wow. Anyway, go ahead.
And I just wanted real quick add a comment here. This is not the case here, right? This is an Irish woman calling out Europeans. Okay, so we already know, and African people have already been doing the work to discuss the fact that Europeans are on the continent interfering. We already know, and Africans have been doing the work to call out AFRICOM, right? So this is not that case. So let's just be real here.
Yeah, and just to co-sign that, just a reminder, like, as I said initially, Daruba's the one that sent me that. I don't think Daruba is unclear about the colonialism. The way I took it was, let's have fun with the fact that this white woman, an Irish woman is calling them out in their own parliament. I don't like that. Like, What is
like let them do that, right? Like like why we mad? Like that's they need to call each other out, right? They need to, you know, step in their own struggle, you know, against the Europeans and like what are we saying here? That's just like
But that kind of, this is going to be sound cold blooded maybe, but that the type of that the essential of that mentality or that, you know, disposition is to also legitimize Black people or Africans who don't deserve no legitimacy. And so, you know, that neo-colonial comprador stuff, you know, we got people honoring compradors on the continent who done more to wreck Africa than some, you know. But anyway, so the revolutionary analysis is that we can't identify our allies and our comrades based solely on some biological or phenotype, you know, disposition. That's just not how it works. And internationalism, and this is part of the thing we got to try to get to in our thing, the forum the other day, like with the Bandung conference and all that. It wasn't, yeah. So anyway, we can go on and on. We weren't believing anybody because they said stuff. We were like identifying where the revolutionary forces are in the world. And if we can't do that, we're not going to win.
It was, for me, it was just, forgive me if it was just a little bit of a joke. Like in my head, it's just a joke. Like their white folks are better than our white folks.
Man, you ain't got to be out here explaining this to nobody, man.
Damn, man, doctor. I feel a little bit
out here explaining
why
this
you
to
trying to throw
somebody.
hands?
His doctor been fighting all day. He's walking up on people in events. He in these chat streets. All right, ear doctor, man. My bad, man.
Listen,
let's go ahead. You ready to go on vacation for the weekend? I know you.
I'm saying, man, Coco jumped off the top rope off the ring, and she seen somebody.
Because sometimes, people be saying too much. People be saying too much, and it's like, don't even go there with that because it's not that. You know, like you got. And again, like they're saying, oh, this is just a general statement. No, like don't say it though. Like what was the point of you saying it? And that's just like my whole thing is like we're not talking about that. So like, why is it being said anyway?
Get him. That's what I'm talking about. Hacksaw Jim Thuggin. That's your new name. All right. So real quick, Netfa, you got something coming up on the 14th. Let them know.
Yes. So I'm just on here plugging stuff. I'm sorry. Let me get
plug.
I need to find it myself.
I got you.
The last Asada Shakur study group, the one that was on a couple Wednesdays ago. Or was a couple Wednesdays ago last Wednesday was we've been discussing on the book by we call him Femi, Elite Capture, how the powerful took over identity politics and everything else. And we did that. We started that the first. Oh, that's not the right link. It's the other.
I know because I shared the one you're talking about already.
Oh, you did?
And then you just sent this one, so I'm trying to share this one to get all your links in. I got you. I got you.
Well, this is the 25th one on the terrorist list, and people you can go to that and register, endorse the thing. But for the Elite Capture, we had to break it up into two parts. No way to discuss that book. So the second part of the discussion of Elite Capture is going to be on June 14th. Asada Shakur study group. People can join us online. If you're in DC area, we really, really want to see you in person. That'd be good. We want to get back to where the place is so full, we're going to have to start feeding people, but we have to build to that. The way to register for that, the registration is for online. tinyurl.com Africans Study. tinyurl.com African Study. And you can actually, select any of them but this is the one coming up June 14th. If you're in the area, just come to the Black Workers Center on 2500 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue in Southeast DC and join us there. We need to probably start doing RSVPs for that too. Maybe no, we don't.
So Netfa, for this one that BPM is talking about being a part of, there's going to be light refreshments and hors d'oeuvres there, right?
Which
because if it ain't, I don't know if I can allow it. You on mute over there, Jared. I'm just asking. Light refreshments.
I'm just saying, wow. That's all I'm saying.
We do usually have some kind of refreshments, but we have, but we don't. We've done it a couple of times after the pandemic. Then we had so much food left over because we were still struggling to get the attendance. So we're trying not to waste, be wasteful.
We'll be there. I ain't want to be a renegger. So, all right, we shall be there. All right.
Good night, everybody. Thank y'all for coming out.
Come through tomorrow. Earn your liberation. See you all tomorrow. Thanks everybody for another
Thanks
great
you, everybody.
remix.
Thank you, Never.
Yeah, let's get it.
I want action.
Hey.
Show me, baby. I need action. I got no time to
Tell me what you gonna do. I got ants in my pants underneath the days. Come on. Got ants in my pants underneath the days. So big fine man, come give me a chance.
We're gonna get funky for y'all. Welcome back to Black Power Media. This is the Remix Morning Show. My name is Doctor. I came here to rock.
I got my mind made up. Come on, you can get it, girl. Anytime. Tonight is fine. I got my mind made up. Come on, you can get it, girl. Anytime. Tonight is fine. I got my mind made up.
Get a little bit of that Chuck Brown in there. Busting all those loops.
Keep what you got until you get what you need, y'all. You got to give a lot just to get what you need sometimes, y'all. Give me the bridge now. I feel like busting loose.
As we get up out of here, we say peace to all those out there. Once again, the Remix Morning Show, and we out. Yeah.